Hello, world. Welcome to Soulfire Spirit Stories. They are stories from our soul for your soul and inspiration to get you through your day. With me today is my amazing husband, Johnny Van Slyke Summers. Thank you for joining. Honey.
Thanks for having me. I
And now,
haven't seen you enough today, so it's nice to finally see your face.
well, we just spent 45 minutes on a broadcast that I forgot to push go live on. So thank you for your patience. And I'm learning. So, stuff happens.
Hey, I'll be your test dummy. It's okay.
Thank you. Um, along those lines, evolution, learning is really why we're here today. And
Learning how to press record.
oops.
Oh, that's too funny.
So today, like what we wanted to talk about together though was around evolution and transformation. It's like what we've gone through, and how self-expression can be a cathartic aspect in that journey for transformation, for evolution, for ourselves. So, can you share a little bit about what got you to where you are today? For the world out there and for anyone who's tuning in, Johnny is an abstract artist. He's based here in Houston, Texas, but he wasn't always an artist
No.
or an artist full time, I should say. So,
Yeah.
your
So
story?
how did I get to where I am today?
Mhm.
Well, we don't have enough time. Let's just say
Briefly, key
okay.
points.
All right. So how did I start painting? Let's start there. How did I get into art? It was not planned. I did not go to school for it. My dad was an artist, so I always got to see art, hanging in the house. But the training that I received, was nothing more than, an elective in high school, right? So the way it really started, it's a kind of a bummer story. I won't get into all the specifics, but um, it was at a probably my lowest point in life. Um, it was in my early 30s. So back in, let's see, 2005, I want to say. I was going through a very rough time. I was dealing with a divorce, a very nasty divorce. Um, that wasn't fun. I was going through well, actually, I didn't lose my job. I quit. I just went into very self-destruct mode, right? I was going through a divorce. I said, screw my job. Um, I got into drinking too much, drugs. It was just a very dark point in my life. And during that time, I had a nice little BMW M3 that I loved to drive over 100 miles an hour, all the time. One night, I was in a very bad accident. I flipped the car a few times. I shattered my left leg. Um, I was not able to get around for about 6 months. I wasn't able to really work, move, nothing. I was kind of bedridden. Um, During that time, I had to have people come over and kind of check on me at the house, and um, luckily, I had family that wasn't too far away that they were able to come over and bring me a meal or something like that, right? So I spent a lot of time in bed. Um, until one day, my mom was there at the house, and she said, "Why don't you paint? Put a canvas in your lap and just start painting, and that'll do something. You're doing something, right? I mean, why don't you do that?" I was like, "I'm not a painter. I don't know how to paint. That's my dad. That's his thing. That's not my thing. I was Mr. Basketball. That's all I cared about." And I had went into the lighting industry and was a regional manager for a while. And I mean, I didn't know anything about art. Um, So at first I was kind of like dismissing it because I thought it was silly. Um, but then finally, I guess out of boredom, I decided to finally do it. Right. So she gave me a canvas, I put it on my lap, and I just started, painting. And it was, it was really bad. It was, it was kindergarten stuff, right? But I started to figure out that it was helping me cathartically. I was able to deal with all of the stuff that was going on. I was able to get, I don't know, like all the built up negative stuff that I was storing inside of me through the divorce and um, not the loss of the job and all of that stuff. I was dealing with all of that and, healing my body. And there was so much crap going on that became a way for me to kind of deal with all those emotions. Um, so that's how it started. Um, and I kind of stuck with it. And I put a couple of pieces on the wall in my house, and someone would come in, a friend or family member, and like, hey, where did you get that art? I like that. And I would say, that's mine. I painted that. Like, really? I was like, really? You like that? What? Like, come on, you can't like that stuff. But I was getting positive feedback, so I decided to keep going. So I've been painting ever since then. But uh, I will say that, back then, whenever I was painting, people were scared of Johnny. They stayed away from Johnny because if he's painting, there's something bad going on. Don't mess with him. So it was a way, I dealt with my negative emotions. I really wasn't painting when I was happy back then. I was painting because I was pissed off, and it was a way for me to deal with that. So a lot of people avoided me during that time. But now I'm a happy little artist, or a happy big artist. I don't know. I'm a happy artist.
Johnny's 6'5", big, all.
Yes, it's hard on the back, but hey,
Can you tell us or describe what that first painting looked like?
Yes. So I still have it today, and I'll hold on to it as long as I can, um, or as long as I'm around. It was a very dark painting, and you can look at it and tell that it was, from a dark period in my life. It was a very dark green background. It had a big old black blob in the center. It was like a big black tunnel, or a big black hole, right? And in the center of that, I had a little speck of yellow and white, like a little dot in the middle. And for me, it was the light at the end of the tunnel. But at that time, that light was so freaking small and dim that, I was so deep in the negative crap that it was going to take a long time to get to that light. But I knew that at least there was a light there. That was my first painting. So obviously I was dealing with something, right? But
Where you are today, I mean, here we are 17 years later. If you look behind you, right, and over here,
mhm,
um, it's not dark. There's a lot of vibrant color that's in there. Um, your transformation, your evolution into this, I mean, you left a long career. I mean, you mentioned you were in the lighting industry for a long time. Um, and most people never leave the safety, like your
mhm,
safety zone, safety net to break out on your own, especially when the world around you considers whatever it is that your passion is, or what you feel your purpose is, or what you're compelled to bring into this world or to create one way or another. I'm not just speaking painting artists, but anyone.
yeah,
We usually listen to those voices and
mhm,
we hold ourselves back. But inside, we feel like we're dying because we're not actually fulfilling what we are here to be doing. Um, Can you share a little bit about your transformation as an artist? At least, where you like, what got you into color and abstract, ultimately moving from those dark days into Dolly that's behind you?
Yeah. Um, yeah, it didn't happen overnight. I remember telling you specifically, when we first met back in, was it 11 years ago, that saying that, man, I just wish I could paint. I, I'm tired of, you know, making a living doing something that I really don't have a passion for. I did like certain aspects of the lighting industry because I was able to create art with light in some cases, but most of the time it was not that. It was, lighting for schools and whatnot. There was not that much excitement. Um, so I've always wanted to do this, and I probably could have done it sooner, but like you said, I mean, there's a lot of judgment that comes with it, right? You tell people that it still happens today. People ask, "Hey, what do you do?" I'm an artist. Okay, but what's your real job? No, this is my job. This is what I'm doing. Now, do I have a steady check, steady income? As you know, no, I don't. But I'll have times where, I have a very good month. But, I all those years I stuck with the art. Um, because, I was getting some kind of reaction from people, but more importantly than that, it was a way for me to deal with and process whatever, I was feeling at the time. So it maintained a way for me to, it was cathartic. So, I stuck with it. It wasn't until me and you got together that I was able to really turn the switch on and make it my way of life. And I couldn't be happier because I'm doing what I love to do. And I hope that, you know, even if it's one person that takes a look at my work and they get some type of reaction from it, hopefully positive, um, then awesome. I if I can inspire somebody to want to do something, when they look at what I have created, then that's great. So, how I got here, it took a very bad incident to happen for me to discover this. Um, but yeah, I was able to evolve with it, become a better artist, because I started studying other artists, past and present, to develop my style. And yeah, luckily, I have artwork all across the US and even places, in Portugal and whatnot. So it's starting to happen, and when you see that switch turn on and, you're starting to move things, it's a very wonderful feeling. And, I think everybody has some type of creative outlet. You are a published author, right? Your job is well, you have multiple jobs, but writing is your thing, right? And she's so good with the writing that I remember emailing her or texting her back in, my lighting days. Hey, I need your help. Can you please formulate an email for me, because this guy's pissing me off and I'm going to say F you and tell him how I really feel. I have no filter. I tell it like it is. So she was able to craft a lot of my emails for me. Without her help, I probably, yeah, who knows.
You would have lost some jobs along the way? Yes, and you're welcome.
But yeah, yeah. So we all have that creative, something that, whether it's cooking, farming or whatever it is, we all have, that passion for something.
Mhm.
And I truly feel that if we all did what we have a passion for, everything would have a way of working out. Is it going to be easy? No, I think it's tough. I mean, I experience, challenges still to this day. As a human being, we're always going to have something that we're dealing with. Um, but it's the way that we deal with that that's important, right? It may be a negative thing that pops in, but if you're able to channel that into something wonderful, or we can all learn from it, we all benefit from that. So now is a time, I believe, that we need to share all of that with the world. Um, a lot of times, I have paintings that I've been working on for years that I haven't finished, and I have to remind myself, get this stuff out there, show it to people. It's never going to be perfect, because if we hold on to it and we keep honing in on it, tweaking it or whatever, it's never going to be right. It's not going to be shared with the world. Um, it doesn't have to be perfect. Um, you know, Share it, put it out there. Um, but yeah, so today, I still channel my feelings when I paint, I will say, but it's not negative now, right? You don't have to be scared if Johnny's painting, because oh my God, something has happened. He's painting. He's dealing with something messed up. Don't go near Johnny. So that part is gone. I have my moments every now and then, but 90% of the time, I know I go into it, with happy thoughts. So yeah.
There's so much in what you said right now, and I think for whoever's tuning in, whatever process you're following in your life, don't compare yourself to anybody else. We are all unique
Hmm.
in our human experience. We all have different things going on in our lives that are influencing us, even day-to-day responsibilities. And your your path for being an artist, your like, even the time it takes to do your art and to paint. I mean, I remember years ago, you were like, 45 minutes. I'm done. This
Hmm.
45 minutes, an hour max, I can't do it. And even when you sat down with our boys to teach them, you gave them a canvas, you gave them access to all the paints. You guys were at the dining room table, and they were methodically, like, planning
Yes.
out what they were going to, like, paint, and they were drawing on the canvas first so that they could map out, like, what their vision was for this, and by the time they touched paint to the canvas for the first drop, you were done. You were completely done. I remember that painting. It was a black doorway with, like, hot pink around it, like, but
Yeah.
it's this process, this flow. Today, it is not that for you. There is
Mhm.
planning, there's inspiration, it's a combination of things. And one painting to the next is different because you're channeling, you're expressing. But in the process of doing it, you're getting emotions, thoughts,
Mhm.
reactions to the world around you out. And so the different paintings that you have, they are not consistent. You might have a theme, like you were doing a music theme
Yeah.
last year, and beautiful, but it didn't keep you from painting nature or for painting a pop icon or something else. So it's beautiful. It's for people who are listening, it's more like follow your intuition. What do you love to do? What is beautiful for you? And it is cathartic and positive for you to like it channels positivity and positive energy into your own being. It helps balance out kind of what we go through. And even as an author, like I mean, I know you know this, but, like, it took me 3 months to write 880 pages, and at the time, I was like, that was nothing. I was just so driven, and I was channeling every day, and I was going through a really bad depression, which led me to writing. Though that ended up being my first 2 books, but I have a friend who's been writing for 10 years, and she's been doing research, and she wants to do it perfectly, perfect as she defines perfect. And she has a vision for what she would like to create. And it's that every artist, every person is their own creator in their own method, in their own modality,
Mhm.
however they create something. But don't compare yourself to anybody else. You are unique. Do things in your own way, in your own time. I think that's
Mhm.
super important for people to remember, because Salvador Dali behind you, it took 16 years. I think you painted that a few months ago. Like, it took about 16 years to get from that old painting that was very dark with a tiny white yellow spot dot in the middle of it to this beautiful, vibrant painting that is deep and thought provoking.
Mhm.
So it's a journey. It's a journey
Yes.
to get there.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it used to be a way for me to channel feelings. And you mentioned, I remember painting with the boys, and yeah, I mean, back then I painted when I needed to get stuff out of me,
Mhm.
negative stuff. And the average time for me to produce something was, about 45 minutes, because it was a very fast and furious 45 minutes. Everything was coming out of, I was, just pouring out all the negative stuff on the canvas. It wasn't necessarily creating something tangible. It was pure abstract, and I love the abstract when I'm channeling my emotions, because there are no rules. There you have complete freedom. There are no lines to stay within. So you know you're you're letting out all that stuff through painting abstract on a canvas. Um, that's how I used to be. Now I'm finding myself being a lot more methodical, thanks to my dad, who is also an artist, because I would send him pictures of my work, and he would always, being nice. He wouldn't say that he hated it, but he hated it. He hates abstract art, and he would always get on to me about, you need to paint something tangible in there, something that will. And I'm like, Dad, no, I don't want to. I'm not good at that, and that's not, when I'm trying to get everything out of me. I don't want to be, you know, having to concentrate and make sure I get this image right. That wasn't the artist that I was at the time. But I finally decided to, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try incorporating something tangible in there. Um, I painted um, Carlos Santana playing his guitar, and I mean, does it look like Santana? Not so much, but there's enough detail there that people know what's happening, right? It's a man playing a guitar, and the music that he is creating from the guitar became my abstract paint. Um, so I was able to create something tangible, and then still be able to incorporate, the abstract piece with the splash, and this abstract splash was the talent that Santana was pouring out of himself, right? So, I mean, you can look at the piece and it looks alive. You can tell that it's Santana playing his ass off on the guitar. So I showed that to my dad when I was finished, and I actually gifted it to him, and he hung it on his wall. That made me happy, because he didn't like any of my work, up until then. But that piece garnered a lot of attention. It was actually on the cover of the Heights magazine this past summer. Um, so it made me stop and think, and it's like, okay, well, maybe I've found something that I can still channel, but take me to the next level artistically. So
Mhm.
it challenged me to be able to do. I mean, we can always get better at what we do, right? I mean, sometimes we can become complacent, lazy, whatever you want to call it. But I don't care what it is you do. If you practice, you'll become better at it. I mean, I don't think that ever stops. There's always somebody out there that can do it better. So, that inner drive or hunger for that additional information to take you to the next step, it's always there. So I took that challenge, and it actually helped get me to where I am today. So, do I still have abstract? Yes. Do I still have paintings or complete pure abstracts where I'm channeling energy? Yes, I do. So I still have those moments, but now I'm also um, methodically going into it, going into a project with a vision, where before I didn't have a vision. It was pure energy, pure emotion that was getting translated or onto the canvas. Um, so yeah, he helped find the style that I'm currently doing, and it's helped me evolve as an artist.
I think, hold on, let me pop this up, so people can find you and they can contact you there. Um, More than anything, I mean, today we're talking about evolution. It's what we're going through, what every person goes through, and expression, and how those two things can coincide in a positive way. Based on everything that you've shared, eh, I'm hearing two things: patience, and it takes time.
Yeah.
And none of this happens overnight. Self transformation takes work on ourselves. You and I joke about this all the time, but had we met when we were younger, we would not be here today. I was a very angry individual with a lot to process, and a lot to deal with internally as I was coming into my own, growing up humanly. Like, age brings wisdom, experience brings wisdom, um, life lessons bring wisdom, and it teaches you certain things along the way. But through that process, however we are expressing ourselves, whether it's vocally and we're communicating, being mindful of how we're communicating to others as we're dealing with our own stuff, so we're not bringing people into our own chaos, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
in your case too, it's the expressing through painting. Um, but it's so beautiful, and I've seen your art at shows. I've watched people just stand in front of your artwork, literally all ages, from toddlers to seniors, and just being in complete awe. And everyone's attracted to a different vibe within your paintings. You have different themes that you paint with, different colors that you paint with, and everybody finds something that resonates with them. And to see that, you mentioned before, if you could touch just one life or like inspire just one person, and I've seen it happen countless times. And you're incredibly humble, but I've seen it happen countless times. And what gets me every time, especially when it's a child, or it's another artist or a young artist who comes in, asks if they can take a picture of one of your paintings, because they're practicing at home. But
Mm-hmm.
when you see the world through the eyes of a child who comes in and just is in awe of that, it's making an impression. And the energy with which you paint is also felt through your paintings by other people. So it's the going through the
Yeah.
process and the journey that you have. Thank you for sticking with your intuition and with your gifts and exploring it and allowing it to grow, because it's a gift for the world.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. If if it touches, right now we have all these social media accounts and Instagram, Facebook, and whatever. The challenge for artists, not just me, everyone, is that we have to deal with algorithms and all of that stuff. But if my piece of work is seen by even just one person and it makes an effect on them, um, then awesome. That makes me happy. a lot of artists are very close to the vest. They keep their talents, hidden from the world, or their methods of how they do certain things, because they're afraid that someone might take their painting or steal their technique or whatever. I actually look at it differently. If I inspire an artist to paint something that I've painted, awesome. Go for it, really, because just the mere fact that I've inspired you to want to paint what I created, that's awesome. So that really doesn't bother me. A lot of artists are like, no, don't copy. Of course you want to find your own style, right? I mean, if somebody was making a living off of just copying my work, and that's a different story. But you know, as artists, I truly believe we pull from one another. I have to give major props to an artist in Miami, create. His name is Kevin Vigil. He really actually is probably my biggest inspiration today, that an artist that's still alive. Obviously Salvador Dali behind me. He's a teacher of mine as well. We all learn different aspects from different people, and some of those inspirations can be, someone sitting next to you, right? I mean, so we pull information and stuff from the world around us, and then we figure out our own style and what makes us unique. But yeah, Create in Miami, he is he's doing some good things. And between him and my father, they and Dolly, and gosh, so many people, I finally figured out my style, at least for the time being, right? I feel like as artists, we kind of morph, and your style can change. You go through different phases in life. Um, but yeah, I mean, we're all here to inspire one another. So, I think it's important that you share your gift with the world, and stop hiding it from people and keeping it close to the vest. Be be that person, be the light for everyone out there. Every one of us has a certain light within us that can help and inspire other people. We can't be afraid to let that light shine,
Mhm.
because when you let that light shine, you're helping raise the vibration for the people around you, which in turn, lets them elevate, and it creates a big ripple, right? So if you can be the start, or even just keep that ripple going, then I truly believe that we'd be in a much better world. So be that light for people. Share your creative talents with the world. You, my beautiful wife, are an author, a published author, and you're very fabulous at writing, and she shares that with the world. We all have a certain talent within us. Um, so we just need to let that out, and to not be afraid.
Thank you. I think you wrapped up this entire chat beautifully. I'd like to steal you back from the world and from this live webcast so that we can actually see each other today, and have dinner together.
Yes, I'm
Um,
hungry.
but on that note, I'd love to leave people with a thought. And Soulfire Spirit, Soulfire, like our group, my company, truly the idea behind it is what lights your soul on fire. Be that light for yourself, be it for other people. What inspires you to be every day? And whoever you were yesterday, whoever you are today, doesn't mean that you have to be that person tomorrow. You can always create and change and evolve. So thanks everyone for tuning in. You can check us out at soulfirespirit.com. And Johnny will be back with us soon, I'm sure. Kind of because he has to
Thank you.
say so.
Well, thank you for having me.
Love you, honey.
All
Thanks
right, love
all.
you. All right, bye bye.